Hey YouTube, I just had a comment. I celebrated a birthday. I'm 52. I broke out in this poison ivy rash. I don't know if you can see that. I woke up ill. I had a stomach thing, and then I had this poison ivy rash. So it was kind of a, my kids had plans. My one daughter had concert tickets. It rained, so we didn't get together for my birthday. I'm going to be getting together with them next weekend. So this was just kind of a not a good birthday. Anyway, I played around, made a custom patch, something I'm inspired by Devin Townsend's Ocean Machine, which is a delay that I really want. They're kind of expensive, but I'm going to try to do what I can with my birthday money to maybe obtain a used one. So in the meantime, I set up a patch on my Zoom, which was a couple of delays with a reverb in the middle. And I shot a video of playing around with that patch yesterday. Unfortunately, you could kind of hear the string noise through it. The string noise was real loud. I didn't turn it up. I should have went direct in for that recording. In any event, I got a comment on it today. I'm sitting here. It's just kind of been a depressing time for me. I had reached out to some equipment manufacturers to see if I could do some demos, and they all either didn't respond, or the responses were like, you only have 200 subs when I had 2,000. And I sent back like, hey, I think there's been a miscommunication here, because did you even watch the links to the videos I sent you? Because if you did, you'll see what I'm capable of doing is something that is high quality. Like when I record a piece of music or a demo, I can do really well with it. Even though maybe I might not have the 4,000 to 5,000 subs that they're looking for. And that's what I'm up against, is these guys who have all of their fingers, and by that I mean the tops of my fingers are missing from a lawnmower accident. So I've been really feeling low because I'm up against this thing, my handicap, and even though I feel like I've risen above that and I'm able to fake it and record music, there's only so much that I can do with this handicap. It really, really limits what I can do. So yeah, that sucks. And it sucks that this channel didn't do a little better than it did. I see other guitar channels where people, they aren't really trying, but they have a nice setup. They've got a real, because they've got money. They've got a good camera. They've got a studio setup, where I've got that type of stuff here. But it's not modern, and I don't have it well lit and clean to set up the whole area and shoot multiple angle on a 4K camera with all my awesome, Schecter Gent guitars that are down tuned to drop C. So I've just been kind of in a rut and feeling sorry for myself. And then I recorded that piece yesterday. Nothing, no presents for my birthday, nothing, because we don't have any money. My wife's working 2 jobs to pay the bills, because I broke my back in 2006 and kind of got kicked to the curb by life, where I didn't get any disability, I didn't get any workman's comp, nothing. We filed for disability, and then they said nope, and then we filed again, and they said you haven't worked, so you can't. Which doesn't make any sense to me. I can't work because I'm in chronic pain. So yeah, it kind of sucks to be me, and this music thing is what keeps me hanging on. And then to have people leaving comments like what Ryan McGnintis said. He said, I feel I've been lied to. You clearly market yourself as petey twofinger, and I'm seeing 5 fingers. So this video is to explain again, because I keep consistently being called out by people for lying about this. Now there's a video called Creation. There's another video that goes along with that called Introduction. Creation is a 22-minute story of how I lost my fingertips in detail. People that are a fan of what I do tell me they really enjoyed consuming that video. The song that goes along with it is a song that has a real long backstory behind it involving a pretty famous band. I gave the demo out and they were inspired by that and answered me back on a pretty big deal album. So if you're interested in the full detail of all of that, you can check out the links in the description. And I will just quickly tell you, and of course I've always got to wheel them out and show them, that yep, I'm missing the tops of these two fingers. So why am I petey two finger? Not because I made that nickname up for myself. I used to play, I started off playing guitar. I had this accident at a church. Lost the tops of my middle two fingertips. The bone was sticking out. Okay? So they did surgery on that, and I started my first band playing guitar and was quickly pushed off to bass guitar, because at the time there really weren't many bass players, and the guy who was playing guitar in the band really wasn't that good. But I played bass and stuck with that, and I played in around 30 bands between 1983 and 1996 was my time when I promised myself I was never going to play in another band again unless I was playing lead guitar or guitar, 6-string, and I was either writing the music or cool with the material we were doing, because it was always a compromise playing with other people. I would want to write originals or do covers that were off the beaten path and redo the covers rather than trying to ape them, meaning just copy them straight up and sound terrible at doing that because the singer could never sing that high. It's the classic rock stuff. So I have real strong feelings about people who play in cover bands. I think that what I'm doing is the logical next step in a progression or a path of your life of growth as a musician. Is you start out and you're not really knowing what you're doing. You get a hang of it, then you might join a band and you start covering songs because you don't know anything about songwriting or verse, chorus, bridge, none of that stuff. So you go through that as a phase. It's a step. And by the time you're in your mid-20s, it's usually time for you to start branching out and writing your own music. Where a lot of people, and especially nowadays what we see, is these clone bands where it's AC3C, where it'll be 3 people named with their names that begin with Chuck C, and all they do is AC/DC covers, or Alice with bangs. They all have bang hair, and they're playing their all of this kind of whatever that style of singing, whatever you would call that, Van Morrison rip-off thing. Now, nothing against those type of guys. That's fantastic if you found peace and happiness in playing in your Rolling Jones or Pink Floyd or whatever that may be. That's great for you, okay? I always felt that no matter how good those cover bands are, to me, they just don't sound right. They don't sound right. I mean, so I've seen a couple of them that are great, but there's always something in the vocals, something in how it sounds more modern. The instruments sound different. That ruins it for me. And the fact that, well, that type of music that we hear on the FM radio all the time is the emperor's new clothes for me. It's old hat. It's not something that I'm going to get emotional about or have it blow me away, like when I go see Adrian Belew is a perfect example, or a Mike Patton project. Something that's pushing the envelope of what you can do with music. So I made this promise to myself in the 90s, around 96. The band was in a lull. We had lost something, a crackhead problem with the guitar player, and maybe another drummer had left. And I took my toys and went home and did a solo album, and kind of announced in that solo album that I had quit, and gave copies of all of that to the people that I used to play with, because they had a studio and they continued to record, and they went on to really, really sell out and start doing the 90s thing, you know. And I went and saw them. They played a show at a bowling alley, and they had developed a following of large females. And I asked the guitar player about it, because I said, this is something else. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad. At least there were people there to support them. But it just seemed weird that you could get that without damage to the infrastructure of the building. Anyway, my process is, you know, I'll kind of get in a little bit of a rut, and maybe I'll take a little bit of a break from hitting it so hard, and then I'll feel inspired and I'll write more music. So I'm constantly going through that kind of thing and writing in spurts, and usually in January I'll write an album. And that's how I continue going. Now, lately I have done some covers, which was a new thing. We had, in the family band, there's 150 pieces of music that we wrote over the period of 3 years. And then in the duo, within 1 year, we wrote 50 pieces of music. But there's like 4 or 5 covers in there. Which, whenever I do those covers, I always get a comment from people that would normally not comment about how much they love it. So it's like I'm really doing myself a misservice by this writing stuff. Like, I see, even as just a guy who's not playing in the bars, who feels strongly about just doing my own thing to keep myself happy, meaning not playing covers, that I'm screwing myself, because if I want to get products to demo because I'm poor, I need to do what the people want to see, which is covers. But I'm not going to do it. I just realize it's more of a realization when I have comments like this, people calling me out about lying about my fingers, about how much I don't want to have anything to do with this community. Okay? And that's not to say the people that comment here, I'm not trying to alienate myself from the good people who I consider my friends. I love all of you guys, and I know you would never question me or call me out like that. I think you just kind of take me at face value and understand that I'm a sincere person, and I would certainly not make anything up or lie about being handicapped. And I say that loosely, but it is true. Here's an idea. Why don't you, Ryan McGnintis, why don't you start playing your guitar, and on your fret hand, you only use your pinky and your index finger. You don't use these other 2 fingers. Okay? You can do an alternate tuning, but why don't you get back to me, produce an album? I'd like... how about a double album? I just dropped the double album in February. I would really love to hear what that sounds like. And anyone else who thinks that I feel like my shit doesn't stink, like I'm trying to make some big deal out of myself, like I'm some hot shit guitar player, I would encourage you to try it for an afternoon. Just play the guitar only using your pinky and your index finger, and then come back to me and let me know what your results were. Okay? Let me know, or record a piece of music. I would love to hear what you're able to do. I have reached out to people like Tony Iommi, Paul Gilbert, and a handful of other people. I would have to think about the guitar players that I reached out to and asked them if they could help me. And of course, money talks, so you never hear back from any of them. Tony Iommi is a completely different thing if you read his story. He was able to use plastic tips. He switched hands, all kinds of different stuff with Iommi, so I don't really count him. And just like Django Reinhardt is a two-finger guitar player, he was using these two fingers, his index and his middle finger, which I don't have a Popeye pinky. My middle finger is way stronger. I wish I had the use of it. My middle finger is incredibly wide compared to my index. If you look at how wide it is, it nubs out other strings. If I attempt to use it, you can see it's almost twice as wide. And the scar tissue on my ring finger from the VY digital block, you can learn all about that in the creation video that I've linked below. Runs right down the center of the finger. So if I fret, it feels like someone is jabbing a needle into my finger. Still to this day, if I accidentally tap these on something, it's like getting kicked in the privates. I curl up and turn red in the face for a while, and then I'm breathing funny. So yeah, it sucks to be me, and every once in a while I have to go through this dance and get all worked up about it and explain what happened and try to justify myself. And to be honest with you, it just gets old. It really does get old. So I'm sorry I had to make this rant video. I know if there's probably some people watching this that don't deserve it. You probably understand my situation. But then again, there's a lot of people that don't know. There's friends of mine, people I considered my friend, and I would bring it up to them. They would make some comment to me like, oh, well, you're a better guitar player than that. And I would go, what do you mean? I'm missing fingers. And they would go, what? What are you talking about? And every band I ever joined, I never told them. These bands, of course, I was playing bass, but I never told them. I would always wait until we had at least played a couple of gigs, and then usually I would pick one member in the band, and when we were out, maybe having a beer after a practice session or something at a karaoke event, I would show them. And the reason I didn't let them know is because I didn't want to be replaced, because that's the way it is. And if they've got an angle on you that there's something up, like they're, well, he could never, which you don't really need to do that on the bass, but just knowing that, like, there's certain Rush songs or real show-offy, we're never going to be able to cover Weather Report. Like that's ever going to come up. So that's me and my cross to bear. Wish me a happy birthday, belated birthday. I'm going to see. I got a little bit of money from my mom, who's still alive. I need to get with her. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she's not really well. She hasn't been well, and she doesn't answer the phone. She's in a home. She doesn't like visitors. But I'm going to have to get down there and see her. Hopefully I can get a deal on an Ocean Machine, which is something I've wanted for a while, and that would help me with my songwriting. But you can pretty much bank on the fact that I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing here, and that means more original music and maybe even a few covers. Hey, how about that? All right, you guys, maybe I should just start, stop making music with Compty and go join a Motley Crue, Poison Crew, some kind of thing. I could sing "Gwee Gwee Gwee" on a Saturday night. Yow! How about that? Probably have 100,000 subs in overnight. Some blonde wig, stuffing a bunch of socks down my pants, putting makeup on. Gwee! Is that what you want? No, it's not what you want. All right, Ryan McGnintis, I'm waiting for the double album. So tape them back and get busy. You might want to tune your B string up a half step to a C and learn how to mute a lot of strings, because you're not going to be able to properly fret all of them to make chords. You're going to be lucky if you're going to be able to figure out how to chord 3 chords. Lucky. So that's my cross to bear. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Peace.